Welcome back, everyone, to Echoes of Ihsan, where we delve into Islamic wisdom together. Today, we're going deep into prophetic teachings in Sunan al Tirmidhi, Volume 6.
Well, that's an interesting pick. Imam al Tirmidhi, the one who put it all together, he was really careful with Hadith scholarship.
So for sure.
It wasn't just, gathering sayings. It was evaluating them, making sure they were authentic, and then putting them into themes.
Right.
Incredibly valuable for us all these centuries later.
Absolutely. In this volume, it's almost like Islamic teachings in miniature. It touches on so many things like the power of supplications and then interpreting specific Qur'anic verses.
Right.
And even, the virtues of those big figures in Islamic history.
It really is like a tapestry of wisdom, isn't it? And
Yeah.
even with all the different themes that current of Ihsan runs through it all,
Yeah.
you see how each teaching, each little story, every supplication, it all guides us toward perfecting ourselves in our actions, both with Allah and with each other.
Yeah, just looking at the chapter titles gives you a sense of this journey towards Ihsan. Like, one chapter is the supplication, I seek forgiveness from Allah, the one whom there is none worthy of worship except for him. And he is the living, the sustainer.
Right.
It's such a beautiful reminder that we rely on Allah and need to constantly turn to him for guidance.
Exactly. And it's not just about asking for forgiveness for when we mess up. It's about recognizing that we humans have limits.
Right.
And that we need to constantly purify ourselves inside and out.
It all comes back to Ihsan.
It really does. Striving for that excellence in our relationship with Allah starts by recognizing our flaws and asking for his forgiveness.
And then we've got a chapter called Allah Created 100 Mercies.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't that make you curious?
Yeah, what are those mercies? How do we see them in our lives? How can we be more open to them?
Right.
What's really fascinating is that it makes us think about just how vast Allah's mercy is.
Okay.
We often focus on his power and justice, but this hadith reminds us that his mercy covers everything. It's a reminder to approach life and even our own slip-ups with hope and optimism, knowing that Allah's mercy always comes before his wrath.
That's powerful. And then some chapters really dig into the human condition. They make us think about why we're here and what we do. Like one called, If the Believer Knew What Is With Allah, of Punishment.
Whoa.
Even the title makes you stop and think.
It does.
It stresses how important it is to be aware of our choices and what comes after them in this life and the next.
It reminds us that Ihsan isn't just about outward appearances or rituals. It's about developing this deep consciousness of Allah,
Right.
this awareness that he sees everything we do, both openly and in secret, and that awareness should guide our actions and motivate us to choose what pleases him.
And it's not about being afraid of punishment.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how serious our actions are and trying to match what Allah wants.
Yes, and that striving to be excellent in everything we do, that's the essence of Ihsan. It's about internalizing that awareness of Allah and letting it shape us, our character, our choices, and in the end, our destiny.
And this idea of inner transformation is highlighted even more in chapters like the one with the supplication, O Allah, make my secret better than my apparent condition. It's a deep supplication. It shows how important sincerity is.
Yeah.
Ihsan isn't just about how we look on the outside. It's about having a pure heart that's truly dedicated to Allah.
It really is. And this supplication is powerful because it recognizes that struggle we all face, trying to get our inner and outer selves to match up.
Yeah.
We might try to look righteous, but true, Ihsan is about purifying our hearts, our intentions, and our deepest thoughts.
Right.
It's about asking Allah to help us make what's inside us even more beautiful than what we show to the world.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And this volume has other supplications that offer similar guidance like, O Allah, cool my heart.
Well, that's a good one.
It's so simple, but so powerful. It recognizes that we often feel turmoil in our hearts and that we need comfort from Allah.
It does, and it shows how important it is to turn to Allah when our emotions are all over the place.
Yeah.
Ihsan isn't about reaching some impossible level of perfection. It's about knowing we're human and that we need Allah's help to handle life's challenges.
Absolutely. And in the midst of all these chapters about supplication and inner purification, there's one titled, O Son of Adam, as long as you call upon me.
Wow, a Hadith Qudsi.
Yes, a sacred saying where Allah speaks directly to humanity.
It promises to be a very profound look at our relationship with the divine.
It really does. Hadith Qudsi hold a special place. you know?
Yeah.
It offers us a peek into the divine perspective, Allah talking to us directly.
And this particular hadith shows us that we can always talk to our Creator. He's always near listening, ready to respond.
It's like an invitation to build a closer relationship with Allah, to turn to Him not just in formal prayer, but whenever we need Him, whenever we have a question, a doubt, a joy, anything.
It is, and that constant connection with Allah, that's the basis of Ihsan.
Yeah.
When we're aware of His presence, when we ask for His guidance in everything we do, we naturally want to excel, knowing that we're accountable to Him. And this connection with Allah, it isn't just about asking for help when we need it.
Right.
It's about being thankful for all His blessings. Volume 6 really emphasizes remembrance and gratitude, especially through dhikr.
Yeah, there's that amazing hadith where Allah boasts to the angels about those who remember Him.
I love that one.
It's like He's proud of those who keep Him in their hearts and minds, you know, raising their status in His eyes.
It is a powerful image.
It really makes you want to strive for that closeness with Allah.
It does, and it says a lot about how important dhikr is for achieving Ihsan.
Right.
Dhikr isn't just some ritual. It's about cultivating a heart that's always mindful of Allah, recognizing His presence everywhere.
It's about developing that inner awareness that drives us to be our best.
Exactly.
There are so many ways to do dhikr.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not just repeating phrases.
Right.
It can be reflecting on creation, thinking about His attributes, reciting the Qur'an, being grateful for His blessings.
All of those things bring us closer to Allah and nourish our souls.
Right.
And Volume 6 reminds us that even doing acts of worship with sincerity and mindfulness is a form of dhikr.
Okay.
When we pray fast or give charity with a heart focused on Allah, we're remembering Him and strengthening that connection.
It's like making dhikr part of our everyday lives.
Yes.
Making it who we are, not just something we do separately.
Exactly. And that's what makes it such a powerful tool for reaching Ihsan.
Okay.
When we fill our hearts with the remembrance of Allah, our actions naturally follow. We become more aware of our choices, more thoughtful in how we treat others, and more committed to living by His values.
And there's that other hadith that paints a different picture.
Oh, right.
It compares those who remember Allah to warriors in battle.
A powerful analogy.
It almost elevates dhikr to this level of intense struggle and sacrifice.
Yeah.
It really shows how hard it can be to maintain that constant connection with Allah.
It reminds us that the path to Ihsan isn't always easy.
Right.
There are so many things that try to distract us and pull us away from Allah.
Yeah. Temptations and challenges.
Exactly. This hadith is like a reminder to stay alert in our efforts to remember Him, to actively fight against anything that tries to separate us from Him.
It's a call to action, a reminder that striving for excellence takes continuous effort, discipline, and a willingness to face that inner struggle.
It is. And Volume 6 doesn't just tell us about dhikr.
Right.
It has a whole chapter dedicated to it.
Concerning the virtue of tasbih, talil, and takis.
That's the one.
This emphasis just shows how important dhikr is to Islamic teachings and to achieving Ihsan.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about another fascinating part of Volume 6, the chapters on the Tafsir.
Oh, yes.
This is where the book goes into interpreting specific Qur'anic verses, helping us uncover those deeper layers of meaning.
It's like having a guide to help us navigate the vast ocean of the Qur'an.
It gives us context, insights, and connections that we might miss on our own.
Exactly.
It's like having access to the prophet's explanations of these verses, shedding light on their relevance and how to apply them.
And one example that always stands out for me is the Tafsir on Sunan al 57.1, the one about the clouds in heaven.
Oh, yes, it's beautiful. It's a reminder of Allah's power and majesty.
It is.
The Tafsir explains that those clouds, with all their power and grandeur, are totally under Allah's command. They move by His will, bringing rain, or holding it back as He decides.
A testament to His absolute control over everything, the perfect balance He maintains in the universe.
It's not just about acknowledging Allah's power over nature, though.
Right.
It's about connecting that to the idea, Ihsan, of striving for excellence in our own lives.
Exactly.
If Allah, with all His power, governs the universe so perfectly, shouldn't we, as His creation, try to emulate those qualities in our lives?
It's a profound connection. It's realizing that Ihsan isn't just about individual piety. It's about reflecting Allah's attributes in our actions, our choices, and how we interact with the world.
It's about striving for that same level of excellence, order, and balance in our own lives, our communities, and what we contribute to society.
Absolutely.
So we're going from the vastness of the cosmos
Yeah.
to the details of how we interact with each other.
And speaking of connecting the dots, Volume 6 also takes us on a journey through the lives of some important people in Islamic history,
Yes.
sharing their captivating stories and lessons.
The virtues of notable figures chapters give us a glimpse into the lives of those who lived by Islamic principles and showed Ihsan in everything they did.
Their stories inspire us to follow their example, showing us that Islamic teachings aren't just theories, but can be lived out in practical ways.
It's like we get to see these snapshots of lives that were shaped by faith and striving.
Exactly, lives that achieve that excellence that we can all aim for.
Right. And one story that always stands out to me is the one about Abu Zaidi Amr bin Akhtab.
Oh, yes.
He lived a really long life.
Right.
But he had very little gray hair.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And it's said to be because of a supplication the Prophet made.
Powerful stuff.
It really reminds you of the power of the Prophet's supplications and how they can have an impact across generations.
Mm,
But it's also a story about Ihsan, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
This outward sign, the lack of gray hair, even after such a long life, it's like a symbol of inner purity and strength that comes from living in line with God's will.
You've touched on something really deep there.
Mm.
It's as though the physical appearance reflects the inner state.
Right.
And that's what Ihsan is all about, a transformation that touches every part of us.
Absolutely. And then there's the story about the Prophet's deep love for Medina.
Oh, yes.
It's narrated that whenever he came back from a trip and saw the city walls, he'd urge his camel to go faster, eager to be back among his people.
That always gets to me. It speaks to the Prophet's compassion and that deep connection he had with the community he built.
It wasn't just a city. It was a symbol of unity, faith, and striving together.
And you can see how that ties back into Ihsan.
Yeah.
It's not just about personal piety. It's about making our communities better.
Right.
It's about nurturing love, compassion, and a shared sense of purpose. The things that make a society strong.
Exactly. So we've explored a lot in this deep dive into Sunan al Tirmidhi, Volume 6.
We have.
We talked about Allah's mercy, asking for forgiveness,
Yeah.
the transformative power of Dikith, the beauty of Tafsir, and the stories of inspiring figures.
So much wisdom in one book.
It's amazing, but there's something that's been on my mind as we've been talking.
Oh, what's that?
So many of these hadiths, they emphasize learning from specific people, those known for their piety and scholarship.
You're right. It highlights the importance of lineage and authenticity when it comes to passing down Islamic knowledge.
Right, the early Muslims were really careful about preserving the chain of narration for each hadith.
They wanted to be sure the knowledge being shared was reliable and true to its source.
Exactly, and it makes me think about how important it is for us today to be careful about where we get our information.
Especially now when we're constantly bombarded with information from everywhere.
It's overwhelming. We need to think critically, evaluate our sources, and look for those who are truly knowledgeable and trustworthy.
That's so crucial. It's recognizing that knowledge is a sacred trust.
Yes.
And that we have to get it from the right places, approaching it with humility and respect.
It reminds us that seeking knowledge is an act of Ihsan in itself.
How so?
It's about aiming for excellence in understanding discernment and applying what we learn.
Beautifully said. And as we wrap up this deep dive into this incredible volume,
Yes.
I hope you, our listener, leave with a deeper appreciation for the richness and beauty of Islamic teachings.
I hope so too. Sunan al Tirmidhi, Volume 6, is just one example of the many treasures waiting to be discovered in Islamic literature.
It is.
Keep exploring, seek knowledge, and let the echoes of Ihsan be your guide.
May these teachings light your way, inspire your actions, and bring you closer to the divine.
And with that, we say goodbye until next time.
May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you.